Hello. Hey guys. Glad that you guys are back. So we'll be starting off with our next section on LinkedIn. I'll just share my screen, just check if it's visible. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, Aditya, we can see your screen.
Cool. So the quick context on this session, guys. So I just wanted to understand, see, one thing about PM, especially for college students, is that most likely, if you're in an engineering college or a commerce college, you'll realize that product management placements do not happen in the college. You won't see much of product management companies coming into your college. So you have to rely a lot on off-campus efforts for both internship and placements. And when it comes to off-campus efforts, one of the best platforms and the most used platform is LinkedIn. So also, guys, can you just show and tell in the chat, like, what do you guys think about LinkedIn, or why do you use LinkedIn currently? If you are a college student, why are you using LinkedIn currently? So I see that Raghuvamshi says network with like-minded professionals and students and professionals. Completely true. Ayush says to show my work and build my profile. Great, Ayush. Search scoring opportunities and connecting with experienced people, following up on opportunities, networking, getting customers. Great, guys. You guys have figured out main use cases of LinkedIn. So now, one second. Have I stopped sharing my screen?
Yes, you need to start sharing it again.
Cool. Cool, guys. Most of you guys got it right. So this session will be basically on how to leverage LinkedIn the best possible way. One quick disclaimer is that I am neither a LinkedIn professional. I've just used LinkedIn for most of my internships and as well as my job as well. But it's not that I have the best LinkedIn profile or anything, but would just like to help out in the basics of this. So the few topics which are covered here are first is basics of creating a LinkedIn profile, how to build a network on LinkedIn, and then how to discover and reach out to the right companies, right? How to figure out which companies are hiring for product interns and product management positions. And finally is how to do a cold mail. A cold mail is a very important part of, reaching out to the hiring managers and showcasing your skills. So first I'll cover what are the benefits of LinkedIn, right? Why is LinkedIn useful? Obviously, one is to gain exposure to hiring managers and recruiters, building a network, and reaching out to the right people in the right companies to get jobs. This one is very important. It's about demonstrating your knowledge and credibility. Basically, if you want a case study, you can showcase it. Or if you've written a good, basically maybe a document on a particular company, you can always showcase it. Or you have some insight about fintech or any other market, you can always showcase your skills and market and then stand out with it. And the third thing is obviously LinkedIn has a great job board. You can discover opportunities which are available currently and apply to these companies. This is very important. You can always gain social proof from your skills. What I mean by this is, suppose you have done some portfolio or you have designed a particular app and you put that app on LinkedIn and you get a lot of engagement, right? You might get like 100 likes or 200 likes. You can always put this on your featured section and say that this is one of the things which will stand out. This will also help, like, because if LinkedIn works in terms of network effects. For example, if someone likes your product, it will show up in their activity feed as well or their post as well, right? So it is very important to show you can build enough social proof in terms of followers and everything, so that whenever a recruiter looks into your profile, he's like, okay, this person is it nudges them to actually consider you for the role. This is the one I highlighted because this is very, very important for a college student. One thing which I did very well on LinkedIn, at least in my early on, was I stalked a lot of people. I stalked a lot of professionals to understand their career trend. Like if they are a product manager, when did they become a product manager? If they did it from college, how did they do it? What all internships did they do? What are their prior roles? Maybe business development, analyst roles. The other part is when you're looking at, I looked at certain directors or product managers, certain CEOs, certain founders as well, wanted to see their career path. What made them, how did this gives you a very qualitative, not a quantitative way, but basically what was their career path before they became what they became, right? Like suppose someone is a VC on Sequoia, what did they do in the last 5 or 10 years? So this will give you an idea on how do you even structure your career, Obviously, what is important here is a sample size. You cannot just look at one person, but if you look at 30 people or 40 people, you can get a good understanding of their career trend. How did they end up building a profile for a PM role? The second thing is about building a roadmap for you as well. So a very important thing where you can use LinkedIn for. And again, another important point is LinkedIn is one of the few networks which talk a lot about the Indian startups ecosystem. For example, whenever a startup raises funding, they post it on LinkedIn. You'll see a your story article, or whenever a new startup comes into a picture, they always post on LinkedIn as well. The founders might write a blog post about it. So this is the best place to discover and keep track of news in the Indian startup ecosystem. Which startups are raising funding, which markets are trending, what are the new trends, like suppose some companies going on IPO, all of it can be tracked on LinkedIn itself. And if you do use it correctly and you follow the right people, qualitatively you'll start getting a good understanding of domain knowledge as well as about the Indian startups as well. And again, another thing which I did earlier on in LinkedIn was I messaged a lot of people to find mentorship and career guidance. Right, it is important to learn from the professionals who have already done it, who are already on their job. So using LinkedIn you can actually reach out to people to guide you in maybe in terms of interviews, in terms of how to write a resume. All of this can be done by messaging the right people on LinkedIn. So this is a good platform to figure out and find opportunities to find mentors and get good career guidance. So let me before talking about LinkedIn profile basics, let me just take an example of my LinkedIn profile. Uh,
You'll have to share again.
yeah. Can you guys see this? See my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So basics of LinkedIn profile is obviously one is your header profile. This should be like a clickbait. When someone looks at your header, they should feel like they should be nudged to click on it and look into your LinkedIn profile. So talk about the most important things. For me, I'm talking about my current job and my major skills and interest. That is very important. Then is your about profile. Again, this should be like a basic CV for you, but I use it as a place to just give my qualitative skills and what am I passionate about. I'm passionate about human computer interaction and behavioral science. And very important is to highlight all your previous experiences well along with the time and place. So I talk about where all my previous experiences are, what have I done. I also include my POR in college as well, and some things which can showcase, not very important, but it can just help in showcasing qualitatively is maybe the courses you have taken, or maybe getting the skills and your skills as well. So the important thing here is that when you're thinking about the LinkedIn profile, make sure that the first thing, the header should be like a clickbait. Like suppose if you were a TEDx speaker, or you were a Toastmaster, or you won a particular competition, you can slightly keep it in your LinkedIn profile header.
Aditya, did we lose you? Yeah. So while Aditya comes back, I will just try to add on to what Aditya was saying. So he mentioned. So he mentioned about clearly mentioning all the internships and the jobs that you have worked upon. Another thing I want to highlight is you should clearly, in the description for each internship, you should clearly highlight what your responsibilities were. So basically, in this way, your LinkedIn profile can act as a CV for you. So, for example, you had done a 3-month internship at a fintech company. Then you must have done some market research. You must have maybe written a PRD or worked on a particular feature. So if it's not very confidential, always try to write all those details on the CV itself. On the LinkedIn profile itself, so that it is clearly visible to the recruiter at the first glance, because they are also going through hundreds of profiles. So if a profile is detailed, it contains all the information, then it becomes very easy for the recruiter to look at your profile and make a decision whether they should proceed forward with it or not. Because if you just write the name of the internship, that might not be as valuable as describing your work as well. So say if you're a CEO at a big company, or you're in a very senior position, then probably you don't need to write the details of what exactly you did during that internship. But in case you were just a PM intern at that place, it's useful to write what exactly were you doing. So let's just wait for Aditya. Let me just call and check him. Aditya, am I audible? Hello, Aditya.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Yeah. You
Dude,
want me
sorry,
to share my screen or you will manage?
I'll manage. My current went
Okay,
off, so I'm using my
no
hotspot.
problem. Part
Where
and
was I?
parcel of a virtual event.
Yeah, yeah. Where was I?
Just go
Like,
to the slide. I'll guide you.
yep.
Yeah. So this slide is covered. You can go to the second point. Brief about section. No, no. Previous slide. Yeah. You can go to the second. Start from the second point. You have walked us through your
Yeah.
profile completely. If there's anything else you want to focus, you can talk about that. You
Cool,
need to
cool.
share your screen again.
Yeah. Am I live?
You are live, but your screen share is not visible.
Cool, cool. Sorry, guys. Current went off. Didn't. Yep. So I was talking about the basics of LinkedIn profile itself. So, yep. Cool. So the second point I was talking about is having a brief about section. Like this is again, this should act like a cover letter. Like the major things about maybe your achievements, maybe your qualitative things. Like why are you interested in product management? What do you want to do with your career? Is important questions can be always covered in your about section. Then again, detailing out your prior internships, your work experience section, whether you're in college or in a job, is the most important section that they look at. So if you have worked in any clubs, organizations, do or have any leadership roles in any particular club, do put it out in your work experience. And finally, using your featured section. This is a very important section where you can discuss, where you can show your work. Suppose you have any important case studies, you have any portfolio, or you have any particular product you worked on, do include it in your featured section so that any recruiter or any potential lead can check this out. Now, coming to building a network on LinkedIn. So, when you think about network, right, the end goal of a network on LinkedIn is that suppose there is any job opening or any PM related to content, it should show up on your activity feed. Why should it show up on the activity feed? Is that if you've followed enough product managers or senior PMs, suppose how LinkedIn algorithm works is suppose you like some if you're following me and I like something related to product some product management internship related to cred or to Razorpay, right? You will also see that same internship post on your activity feed. That is very, very important, and that is the usefulness of LinkedIn. So make sure that you connect with as many PMs and senior PMs as possible. So when you want to build this kind of a network, it is very important to send personalized connection requests. So what I mean by personalized connection request is you have to make sure that when you're reaching out to someone, you don't just send them a connection request, but you can also tell them why do you want to connect with them. For example, I can give you some. I will send this later, but a basic connection script is I found your profile through this mutual group or mutual school, and I'm interested to learn about your background in this industry. And this is how you can always connect, or you can just talk about prior this thing, or you can just say that I'm very interested in your work experience. I want to learn more about you. Always send a basic communication script. Obviously, personalize it for the person you want to meet. Getting back, the other important thing is you should always, before messaging someone, always check their activity on LinkedIn. Why do I mean that? Is suppose they like some post on product management or they like something, right? You can figure out what their topics and interests are, so you can find common ground. That is very important. And the second thing is, if they're active on LinkedIn, right, you should know that, like, suppose they haven't been on LinkedIn for the last 1 week or 2 weeks, you can check it out in their activity feed, so you know that it might not be feasible to reach out to that current person. And finally is joining other groups, right? Not only in LinkedIn, there are a lot of PM groups in LinkedIn, but there's a lot of groups on Slack as well. Like example is the product folks or product trees. These are groups which is only focused on product management in general. So this will obviously help you, like suppose any job opening is there are a lot of channels in this group which will show these job openings. So do join the right Slack channels as well. Now, coming to a very important point, that is scoping out the right companies, right? How do you know which company is hiring for product interns, and which company and what do they look for in a product intern? Again, the best websites are LinkedIn and another website called as AngelList. So AngelList is a directory of startups. So basically, if you click on product management in the search option and click on internships, it tells you different startups which are in their early stage to mid stage. Am I?
Yes, it's going good.
Cool. Yeah, it's AngelList or this. So AngelList is a directory of startups. So you can see different companies in India which are working right now. What is their probable stipend? What is their job description? Everything. So one thing is you can figure out which companies are hiring through AngelList and use LinkedIn to message the right people. For example, if it's MoveWorks right now, you can go to MoveWorks in LinkedIn and check out the employees there so that you can find the right person to call mail. In LinkedIn as well, right? The way you should do it is use a search bar option, which is very important and very useful as well. So suppose you want to check for product internship, just type internships or product interns. And you can see two places. One is posts. So this will every day if you check it out, right? If there's any recent post, for example, I can see that Zomato is hiring for product internship currently. Right now, I know that this is hiring, so you can go and think about reaching out to Zomato right now. That is one way of looking into it. The second way of looking into it is going to typing product interns and checking out the people who have worked in, right? So what I do is I click on this and go to people. So you can see the different profiles of people who work as product interns. Suppose someone has worked in product intern as .NET. What is their profile? Have they got it right from college? Now, what this gives you is an idea that, okay, this company .NET hires college students for internships. So this is one of the companies you can reach out for. The other way to look out it for is, for example, you want to check out product internship at a specific company like front row, right? Just type product intern front row and you will see different profiles of people who have worked in front row as a product intern. So this gives you an idea that, okay, if there are more than 2-3 people working in front row as a product intern, that means that this company is hiring for product interns. So you can always reach out to this company or reach out to this person himself to give you a referral. So these are some ways of stalking the right people to figure out who to reach out on who to reach out on LinkedIn. The number two part is when you're looking at these profiles, right? You can also find out what they're looking for. For example, if you type Amazon on LinkedIn search, right, you will realize that anyone who has worked as an intern or a full-time employee in Amazon, they have always had an MBA degree. You will see an IIM, you will see an ISB, or you might see some under another MBA college. You will rarely come across a profile of a person who has worked in Amazon or a Microsoft who's straight from college. That the reason is the company, as like Amazon, they have a hiring principle that they want to hire for product managers who have done their MBAs or at least 5 years of work experience. So no matter what you do as an intern or as a college student, even if you do a very good product deck or a very good call mail, a company like a FANG companies in India won't take you for a product management role because you've already done the previous experience of looking into of reversing their hiring principles. Now that you know how to discover companies, right? Another thing which I will be sending is me and some of our friends have done a good research on which all companies hire in India right now for jobs, especially in product management. And one second. Yeah, especially for interns, it's a work in progress, but we are trying to document based on our research which all companies are written. We will send this to you so you can use this profile, use this as Excel sheet as a tracker to like apply for different companies. Let me just share this once as well.
Aditya, I think you can share it later on. Otherwise, everyone will just Aditya.
Yeah, sure, cool.
Share it after the session. Otherwise, everyone will just open this link.
No problem. I will share it after the session. Yeah, one more thing is, so when you're applying for a company, what do you need to look into the company? So the first important thing is founders and employees background. Why is this important? Is that sometimes there's a lot of cases where I have seen interns getting slightly scammed in an internship. What I mean by that is they're promised some role, neither are they given the pay, or they're made to do a lot of manual work. So once you look at go and look at the founder's background or the employee's background, what it helps you to do is gives you a good quick due diligence of the company. For example, if a founder is a 2-time founder or a 3-time founder, you know that he has enough, I would say, brand value and enough leverage to build a good company. You know that you'll be safe working under him, and you'll also get a lot of mentorship working under him. Number two part is if you see a very early stage startup and say that 4 or 5 employees of Zomato or Swiggy have left their jobs to work in this company. So this company has to be doing either something really good in terms of product or pay to get someone to leave a good startup like Zomato or Swiggy to join this company, right? So understand that maybe this company has a good culture or good pay or good product in general, which will be growing. So these are few ways you can check the company out. The second part is always go to their website, check out their value proposition and their mission. Make sure that you're also aligned on it, right? Not all people may, for example, take EdTech, right? Some people feel very good about EdTech, good about Byju's or White Hat Junior. Some people feel very bad about it. So make sure that you have a good alignment with the domain and the product they're working upon. And finally, industry is really, really important. This is something where you can always leverage your experiences. For example, right now during COVID, working in a travel company like Make My Trip or any other travel company will be slightly hard because of COVID, there's a degrowth, right? They might not be hiring people, or they might be more focused on layoffs. So it is important to at the same time, right? Domains like edtech, job tech, virtual experiences, or fintech, right? Because of because of just not just remote work, but because of the domain itself, it is growing a lot. So that these are the right places to work on. The thing about leveraging your experiences is, suppose if you have not done any prior product internship, but you have done a business development internship or a marketing internship in edtech, right? For example, you've done a sales internship in Byju's. Always you can leverage that experience to get a product internship in a company like Vedantu, because you've already understood how Byju's works, what customers of Byju's prefer. This knowledge is very important for a company like Vedantu for them to improve. So you can always leverage your previous domain experiences to get a product internship. Talking about funded versus non-funded startups, there is some slight advantage in working in funded startups. One is brand value. For example, if a company is funded by Sequoia or it is funded by Tiger Global, right? You can always put that on a resume saying that I've worked in a company which is funded by Tiger Global or Sequoia, and it adds to a lot of brand value in your resume as well. Number two part is, when companies raise funding. Say, for example, last month, FamPay, right, a very famous fintech company, raised 38 million in funding. When a company raises funding, right, why do they raise the money? Most of the money for raised and funding is for hiring. So suppose they raise $38 million in funding, about 30 to 40% of that will be going on just hiring new employees. So that this company is open to hiring new people, and they're in a very high growth phase. So when you pitch a company like this for a product intern, it's a higher chance of you getting a reply or getting a response for an interview. The third thing about funded startups is obviously that in terms of stipend, right, they tend to pay higher in terms of safety as well. Because suppose I'm a VC, right, or an angel investor, when I funded a startup, I am betting that at least the startup will do well for the next 4 to 5 years. Otherwise, I won't be putting my hard-earned money into that company, right? So now you also know that if someone has backed that particular startup, you will be safe in that job. So this is also very important to check out. Finally, which is very useful, is looking at Glassdoor. So there's a website called Glassdoor which gives company reviews, talks about the culture of the company, which is anonymous. Or you can also go to LinkedIn and talk to a few prior interns or ex-employees in the company to just understand the basic culture. What do the company look for in product interns? What is the work culture in the company? What kind of projects you get? All of this is very useful for it. Cool. Now that I've completed this,
Aditya, we have a question. It's asked by Ashish. What are the top LinkedIn product groups and tags worth following? Do you want to take it now, or should we take it offline after collecting this information?
I can give offline examples later. While I'm sending the company list, I will also send some resources or some groups on LinkedIn which you can target.
Got it. Yeah.
Cool. Now, coming to the most important part of this session, which I feel very important. I feel that this is the most important thing, which is a make or break. That is your cold mail, right? So what is a cold mail, right? One thing which is very important is that getting into product management roles is not only based on your product management skills, but based on your marketing skills. How you can influence someone to click on your mail, click on your resume, click on maybe your projects, and get you in, right? And especially for a college student, everyone knows that you don't have the skills to be a product manager yet, because you've not had the industry experience. So how do you pitch your interest? How do you pitch that, hey, I am a person who will learn and pick up these skills? This is what is need to be looked at in your cold mail, right? You have to be able to pitch your interest and why do you want to be a product manager. So before going to how to write a good cold mail, let me show you how not to write a good cold mail. So, for example, these are some mails which me and my friend have received. One of it is a mail asking for a referral or asking for a resume. If you check out this mail, right, This is the first mail which is sent to him, and it is just talking about open positions on Cred, and they've given around 8 links of different roles, not just product management, but it's sales, operations, and then just saying, please let me know which any further details. I've also attached my CV here. This is not the right way to ask for a referral or a job. You need to always, once you started, you should also talk about your background, right? What's your prior experience? You don't want me to go check out your LinkedIn profile and say, look at your experience and then say whether I should decide or not. Number two is you should talk about why are you interested in your role, right? There's nothing about which role you're interested in. I have to go click on the website. So think about it from a product management perspective, right? If I was the end receiver of this, I have to do 4 or 5 clicks to just find out what this person is and what kind of role she's applying for. The second is more from a college student itself. Again, here he has asked for an internship opportunity, but not told me which opportunity is looking for. I have to follow up and say, do you want to intern in product role? Do you want to intern in a developer role? Number two is at your current employer, but why? Why do you want to work in my current company? What makes you interested in this company, right? Very important thing to cover as well. Finally, another thing is asking for a referral without any prior context. Here you're just just introducing herself and just asking for a referral in your second line. And this the thing is, see, why when it comes to referral, right? When suppose an employee is referring someone, right? His reputation is also at stake. For example, if I refer someone and he or she performs very badly in an interview, not only her reputation is gone, even my reputation is gone, because my way of looking into talent is gone. So when you're asking for a referral, it is very important to display your skills and show that build conviction with the person who's going to refer you, saying that you will be a good person, good at cracking your interview. You will be good at a particular skill. Now coming to some examples of cold mails and how to write it, right? So this is an example of my friend who reached out to a particular company for a mentorship role, but ended up because of his way of writing a good cold mail, he ended up even getting an opportunity in that role. So you see that first he thanks the person for accepting the connection request, gives a basic introduction of himself. Currently, he's working at this particular company. The second part is he talks about a good cold compliment, right? He has done the research of the particular app and said that this app is very nice, it is very good, and he wants to understand how the magic happens. Finally, in a very polite way, he is asking for a particular mentorship role and discussion on how to improve himself. And look at the way he has ended it, right? He's talking about how he wants to build a great product in the future and wants to learn about it. And you can obviously see the reply where the person, the CEO of the company, is more than happy to just not only offer a job role but also offer this mentorship chance. This is one of the cold mails I sent to a particular Singapore company called a startup. This is also where I've introduced myself, talked about why I'm passionate about product management roles, and then I also talk about why I became it, right? I talk about my new venture creation course. So this was a particular course in bits where you can build a particular project, and I talk about my project, send a link for it. I also talk about my prior experiences. And one thing which I've done different is this is something I will cover in tomorrow's session, called as a product deck. I'm trying to stand out because if I'm applying for a company, right, more than 200 to 300 people are applying for the same company. So how do I stand out to make sure that a person sees my skills? So I made a quick PPT on a company like Book My Show called as a product deck. And I've also coupled it along with my resume. And I've told the person that if you like my product deck and my product thinking, please give me a referral. So this is a call to action for that person to go check out my skill and my work, and then give me a call to action on it. Now, a basic framework for cold mail is, first question is who you are, your education background, your recent most work experience. The second thing is what role are you interested in. If you're interested in product management role or a development role, do explain your interest as well. The third thing is, why do you think you will be a good fit for the role? Maybe your prior experiences, maybe you took a particular case study or a particular boot camp and you learned about it. Do explain in 1 or 2 lines. Then maybe some experiences. Yeah? This is a very basic. Don't go too much in detail. Your call mail shouldn't be more than 40 to 50 lines. It shouldn't be something which a person has to put too much effort in reading. So make sure you just explain 1 or 2 experiences. And this is a very important thing, right? Why are you interested in the company? Is this company a very high growth company? You're interested in the mentorship opportunities at the college, or you're particularly interested in a domain. You're passionate about education and you want to improve the way education works. Then you can apply to Vedantu and Byju's, letting them know that. If you're passionate about gaming, you were someone who was a gamer before and you liked Call of Duty, you liked all these kind of games, you can reach out to companies like Zynga and say that, I was a gamer, I had a lot of experience in gaming. and I love gaming companies because of the experience they provide and the entertainment they provide. And finally, obviously, asking for a referral or an interview chance. Now, when you're sending a cold mail, it is always preferred for product management roles. Mail the PM or senior PM itself, because they are the best judge of your skills. Mailing a recruiter might not always be fruitful, because if suppose you're sending a product deck or a resume, recruiters will obviously be able to get a high level view of your resume but cannot judge you based on your full skills. So it is always best to mail a call senior PM or a PM. And one more suggestion is mail someone who has been at least more than 1 to 2 months within the company, because when you're a new person in the company, right, you're slightly agnostic or slightly skeptical in terms of referring new people, because you yourself are new, right? So always make sure that you look at maybe someone who's worked for more than 1 to 2 months within that company. So these are the basic stuff on what cold mails are. And yeah, I will be sending this. Is there any questions which you can answer on cold mails and LinkedIn? Would love to answer, and I'll also send the link for a company sheet.
So we seem to have finished that session quite fast. There are not any questions. Maybe if you could just go and explain that AngelList part once more, like how do I go and search for it?
Cool. So again, first in AngelList, you have to be building your profile. So make sure that you have your profile ready, built and everything, your resume and everything. Then there's a job list. So basically click on search to jobs, product management or product management internships. You can filter for it. And then this can be mostly likely right now only remote jobs are present, right? So you can, or you can just say include remote jobs to get a more idea. And if you want, you can check which based on the location. Maybe if you want to check right now in Bangalore or in India or in any other place you want to check out, you can then check out. You get a list of companies and the type of internships. This is product management internship, product operations internship. For example, if you're interested in this company, it even tells you the basic stipend, which is something which is not. So always go to the company, look at their internships openings, and then you can see some people to contact. One is founders Ayush Agarwal, Harshit Srivastava, or the team members, right? Now you can check out the different team members here. Or what you can do is this particular company, you can copy paste this on LinkedIn and then check out the different employees in that company as well. Cool. So yeah, you can see if the role is open on LinkedIn as well. And obviously now you can send a connection request to the particular person you want to work in. If you ideally it should be either a product manager, founder, or someone like building in intrigues. This is a good profile, something, right, to apply for. And then you can connect with him and then start your cold mail. One more useful tool I think I forgot to cover was Hunter, right? For example, if this is again not always reliable, but for example, if you want to get cold mail, get the mail IDs of people in Zomato, right? Oh, 1 second. This will give you basic email IDs of people in Zomato, maybe a CEO of Zomato, CFO, different companies. Obviously, don't spam them, guys. You have to be very well prepared in advance before sending a cold mail, making sure your profile is great. But this can give you certain leads in the company. For example, if you don't want to use LinkedIn, you can always use use Hunter to get the mails and cold mail them through mail. And even in mail, right, there's another software called as Mail Tracker. So if you're sending a cold mail and you want to know if people have read your mail or people are responding to your mail, right? You can always have this plugin within your mail, and it will tell you suppose someone has read your mail or someone has forwarded your mail to the right person. So you can judge your success of your cold mails by using a Mail Tracker plugin.
So Aditya, we do have some questions.
Yeah.
The first is this: how could we update ourselves with APM programs of companies?
Cool. One thing is, so this is a bit ambitious, but in US or you want to see the abroad companies, there is APM list. This is all the particular companies. This is the MNCs, right? Not the startups, but for MNCs, particular companies which are hiring. This is slightly ambitious, but it will be useful for you in the future, but not right now in college. The other way is APM programs is only through LinkedIn. So there are no particular sites where companies talk about it, but But if you're interested in any company, right, and you always follow that company, right? For example, if you're interested in Razorpay or Zomato, follow that company, and suppose they have any APM programs opening, they will be posting it. There are also certain LinkedIn job sites. I think is something called MBA portal. I don't remember the current names, guys. I will send the names. So there are certain job sites which will always, whenever a program opens or the APM program opens, these job sites will send you a notification on LinkedIn as well. Let me give me some time. I'll just research on which are the right job sites and send you a link for it. Other than that, is obviously checking on product and continuously. Suppose you're interested in any particular company, do continuously search in the search on APM programs or APM posts, right? You type APM or Associate Product Manager. And then continuously checking the job section or continuously checking the post section. So this is see, for example, you have 1 week ago, PayU was hiring for associate product managers. So this is something which is slightly manual. It's not, it just takes 1 minute for me to figure it out, right? So you have to be continuously doing this and at least a high frequency to just make sure that you're always updated.
I think you can apply.
So this is an example of a way to just find out.
You can apply for job alerts as well, I think. So I'm not sure if it works for
Yeah, there are
but generally job alerts works for the full-time roles. It does work for.
Correct. That's true. You can even do that as well. Yeah. Cool. Is there any other questions, guys?
Yeah. So next question is this. Any tips for cold mail when you're applying for your first internship without any work ex? So maybe you could walk us through your process when you applied for your first internship. What was your approach?
So for my first internship, when I didn't have any work experience, it was, I think, when I was in my second year in college, I pitched my passion and interest, right? So what I mean by passion and interest is I talked about why I'm into product management. Maybe I talked about having a course called as human computer interaction, where I learned a lot about customer empathy. And I learned a lot about understanding of companies, right? So you have to pitch your why, like what makes you think. First of all, like if you talk right about product management, they'll be impressed because a lot of college students do not know about this role. This is slightly, I mean, now it has become a slightly famous role, but maybe when 1 or 2 years ago, not many college students were aware about this role at all. So being able to pitch that, why are you interested in this role? So I talked about liking the keynote speeches of Steve Jobs and Sundar Pichai. It was in one of my call mails. I said that I discovered product management by looking at these keynote speeches, and I thought, one day I should be like them. In one of my call mails, I talked about places like me having a career vision that 10 years down the line, whenever I look at my app, whenever I look at my phone, right, I want to see the different products and apps I've built in the home screen and then realize the impact I've made. So being able to do this, right, this is pitching your interest is super important. And trust me, guys, especially for college students, interest and intent is more than the skills itself, because skills can be trainable, but interest and intent it's intrinsic. It's not an extrinsic quality, right? So make sure that you can figure out how best you can pitch your interest in.
So Aditya, what do you think clicked when you got the first internship? Did the recruiter or the PM who was interviewing, did they mention anything specific that, yeah, we were really impressed by this aspect of your profile or because you did this?
So obviously the main thing was the product deck, which was something which has always made me stand out, at least was because I tried that when I was applying to a company, say CardUp, right, which was a company in Singapore. 99 people of the around 200 people applied, and more than 190 people are from Singapore colleges. So even my college has no brand value there. A place like Singapore has amazing colleges like NUS, NTU, and all.
Right.
So to be able to stand out to get when they had only 2 or 3 internship roles, the only way to stand out was me going to YouTube and typing the founder's name, figuring out the YouTube videos, understanding what was the founder's vision, right? Why did they want to build a company? Then I didn't even have a credit card. Right? Being a college student, you don't have a credit card. So what I did was, any company, right, they have this, even in YouTube or in their website, they have these onboarding videos about their product. Just by looking at this YouTube videos, I could spot some anomalies. Then what I did is I looked at CardUp's competitors, PayU, Paytm, PayU, Razorpay, and then checked out what they're doing different, which CardUp has not done till now, or what is different in the funnel or in the user experience. And I built a deck to show that, right? To show how I can do it. Now, when you're talking, when you're putting so much of interest, and one thing, guys, my deck quality is not that great.
Aditya, we are losing your voice a bit.
Experience.
Aditya, am I audible? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Aditya, we lost you for a bit. Can you just try refreshing or rejoining?
Hello.
Hello. Is Aditya, am I audible? No. Okay, so while Aditya comes back, I'll take the rest of the questions. So first question is from Srinivas. Applying for internships, APM role or PM role for someone with 6 years of experience and work with product teams mostly. So, Srinivas, maybe you want to come on the stage and tell us a bit about your profile. Okay. So, Srinivas, I'll assume that maybe you are an engineer. Uh, and okay, got it. So, are you a software engineer? So if you have 6 years of experience, okay, supply chain design specialist, I would say the best potential option for you is to try and switch laterally within the same company itself, because that is the easiest path. Those guys know you, they have trust on you, you have been working with them for a long time. So if there are PM roles in that company, that would be the best option. And there you won't even need to apply for an internship and you can directly switch. But in case that is not an option, and if you are applying externally, then obviously, I don't think, given the amount of experience you have, you should try for an internship. I would say directly start applying for APM roles. So, one thing you have to remember is you might have to take a pay cut for that. But if you have to make a career switch, you'll have to take that call. I won't recommend applying for internships. I would say directly start applying for APM roles. And meanwhile, on the side, you can say start doing some uh, one of these courses on product management, or try to show to the recruiter how you are able to, how you are doing some aspects related to product management in your current role itself. So that would be my recommendation. Go ahead and try to apply for full-time roles only. Don't go ahead with internships.
Vikram, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible now. So I'll just put up the next question, maybe as a, like, keeping yourself in the shoes of Rishi. When you were a student, you can take this up. Is the question visible?
How to overcome preparation paralysis? How much is enough preparation to jump in and start applying? How do I bring up bias for action and start applying? And at which should be the first companies I should try applying for? Any perspective on that? So first of all, Rishi, the problem is what happens in most people is that first of all, am I audible, Vikram?
Yes,
Just
yes, you're audible. You can probably keep your camera off since the
yeah, yeah.
connectivity is a bit low.
Yep. So for one thing is, Rishi, like you need to understand this is that at least like again, one problem with most college students, and even I face this a lot, is that we are always outcome focused. What I mean by outcome focused is whenever we are putting any preparation, right, it's either for improving our CGPA or our grades or getting a job role, right? If you become more input focused and process oriented, don't think about PM as something you have to prepare for, which is hard work and everything. But PM is something, it's super fun, right? It's super interesting, right? For example, when you go to Instagram and you see an infinite scroll bar in Instagram, a lot of people are taught so much about human psychology to make sure that you get so engaged in Instagram and lose track of time. Or the way Google Pay works, right? When you see in the first 2 months of Google Pay when you used it, right? you get a lot of scratch cards which show 30 rupees or 40 rupees. Slowly they reduce it with time, but you've already formed a habit to use Google Pay. They've built that habit forming product, right? This is all very important because this is interesting. This is not much of effort, right? Once you start looking at PMS, I have to prepare for it, I have to study it every day, I have to do all the hard work. You lose the joy in it, right? I never, whatever I've learned till now about product management, I never learned it for an outcome. I was actually genuinely interested in it. I was genuinely curious about it, and that is very important. But number two is what happens is most people, right? They pick up. There's too many resources out there. Like right now, what one problem which most people face is content overload, right? A lot of posts on LinkedIn, a lot of things, a lot of resources, a lot of websites. Limit yourself to one or two, but one or two resources, and just go deep into it. For example, for product interviews, if you're using something like Exponent, which is a great website for interviews, just use Exponent only. Go deep into it and just learn it. Don't get too caught up in figuring out the best resources. Just take one or two and then choose it. Number two is important is as much as possible. It is okay to, for example, for a PM book, it is okay to read just one PM book deeply, then 5 PM books and forget everything. Remember that in learning, not only acquisition is important, but retaining and recalling. Making sure that you read the book again and again and you recall it is super important as well. And the thing is, there's nothing called over preparation. See, the key skills for a college student, one is communication. If you can crack communication, rest all will be easy to crack, because communication is a horizontal skill over which problem solving is also built upon, questioning is built upon, articulation is built upon. So make sure you improve it as much as possible. And while you're solving for case studies or anything, right, don't just read through it. Use a friend, right? You and your friend can have a go on a video call. Your friend can watch you perform and give you tips. Where are you stuttering, or where are you faltering? Is there any particular thing you're doing wrong, right? Maybe you're not having eye contact, or you're looking somewhere else. Your friend can point out all of that, because you cannot do that on your own. And that is very important as well, right? Having a friend or a buddy to prepare with. And when it comes to first companies you apply, obviously the easiest to get is early stage startups in the beginning, because they're not looking for much in terms of, because they might not have the best to pay in terms of stipend and all, but they do look for people who are ready to learn, right? So applying for early stage startups is very useful, and do pitch your skills and try to get that internship. It is always great in the future as well. And in terms of examples of early stage startups currently right now, these are companies which are in the best beginning of funding phase or AngelList phase. For example, my first internship was with Local, when there was just Local is a Y Combinator startup today. But when I applied for it, there was only 10 people in that company. And getting to work directly with the founders, getting to work directly with the with the core team is very useful for you to get the right mentorship as well. So these are the things, right? Again, I want to just reiterate on this point is that being process oriented, like enjoy the work, like anything, reading about a product or going through a product should be fun for you. If it is becoming a stressful thing, you're not a right PM, right? Curiosity is the most important trait you need to develop in college, right? So for example, right, in college, being good with answers will always make you good at college and college or school, right? But being good with questions will be making you better in life in general. So being asking the right questions, and remember that Google is a database of all answers today. Any answer you want, you can find it on Google. So being able to understand what query to type on Google, what questions to type is super important. You can get a lot. If you want to learn a business model of a company, right? Just type the company's name and type the business model. You will see some blog post which has done a business stat on other company. If you want to see a product critique of a particular company like Duolingo, just type Duolingo on product critique, right? You will see a lot of people talking about their opinions on Duolingo. Just like this, you can learn, right? You can just ask a lot of questions and get the right answers. Either it will compound, right? You might not know anything in day one, but it's like an exponential curve. Over time and time, whatever knowledge you've learned, right, it will always help in improving you. Yeah, I hope I answered that question, Rishi.
Yeah. So what was the last bit you mentioned about using Duolingo? Like, how do you find out people's opinions on Duolingo? What was that?
So, for example, right, there are already currently 3 places where you can get any opinion. One is go to Duolingo, go to customer. Oh, by the way, even while I talk about cold mailing and product decks, right, I normally do is, if the app is on Play Store, you can always go to check the customer feedback, right? There could be some customer request. Some customers will say that I wish this feature was there, or it could be a particular bug which a customer has identified. If you tell this to the interviewer, right? I was going to a Play Store a profile and I saw this customer giving this particular issue. Do you think this is a huge issue to solve, or can I help solving it? This will impress the interviewer, or in a cold mail, when you're cold mailing someone and talking about this will impress the person a lot because you've done the effort to even go to the customer problems of the company, right? This was actually one hack which I used in even at Credit. I saw that there were some customer support issues, and I just said customer feedback in the Credit Play Store thing. I did mention it to the PM while I was talking to him in the interview. I said that, hey, I think this is a fair request from a customer. Do you think we can solve it, right? So being showing that is one way to get about customer insights. Number two thing is, like you, a lot of people in US or any other place have done product teardowns. So if you use Medium, right? Medium is a place where you get a lot of articles. So you can just type product teardown and Duolingo. You will see a lot of articles of people who've talked about the product. So you can get a basic overview of from a product management perspective about a product, maybe their design, maybe their UX journey, maybe a design revamp, right? All of that can be looked at in Medium articles as well. So some example is UX Collective, right? UX Collective is an article which talks about design of different products.
Got it. So ideally, if I want to know more about a particular product or the philosophy, I could just search product teardown and write the name of that product.
Correct,
So
yeah.
whatever opinions people have around that, I can easily find them and develop an informed opinion about that.
Yup, correct.
Got it. So you might want to put in all the names in the chat because people are asking for it. Meanwhile, I think we can wrap up this session. So what we'll do is me and Aditya, we can sit on separate tables and like take any further questions you have. Maybe if you want to talk about using LinkedIn or how to cold email, Aditya would be the best person. If you want to talk about interviewing or how to get PM internships, then you could join my table. So I'll take say table 2, and Aditya, you can take table 3.
Cool. Let me join in 5 minutes.
Right, sure. Okay, thanks a lot, people, for joining us for this session. I hope we were able to answer all your queries and you were able to get a lot of useful information from this session. We will be meeting again tomorrow, where we'll focus mostly on the interviewing aspect of the bootcamp. So the first session will cover how do you go about solving a written case, how do you create a great pitch deck. That would be the first session. And the second session would focus on how do you crack the in-person interview or the telephonic interview. So that's it from our side for today. And let us meet on the social lounge and take any further queries you have. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you.